The Splendor of the Seas is the second Vision-class ship of Royal Caribbean International's massive fleet of cruise ships. Built at the French shipyard Chantier de l'Antique in 1995, it had its maiden voyage on March 21, 1996. With a total gross tonnage of 70,000 tons and a top speed of 24 knots, the Splendor of the Seas cruises the Mediterranean in spring, summer, and fall, and South America in the wintertime. Each cruise vacation, its 750 crew members from more than 50 countries serve over 2,000 guests from all over the world. While you've been enjoying the many fun activities, top-class entertainment, and delicious cuisine on board, you may be wondering what it takes to operate and navigate the ship. In the next few minutes, we'll be giving you unprecedented access to the brains and the inner workings of the Splendor of the Seas, including its navigational equipment as well as to the highly trained officers responsible in making sure you have a safe and worry-free cruise vacation. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, a few miles from the port of Piraeus, the gateway to the historic city of Athens, Greece. The Splendor of the Seas is greeted by the soft, luminous lights of a city that is about to wake up to welcome thousands of visitors in one of the busiest cruise ports in the whole of Europe. It's almost pitch black in the bridge, aside from the high-contrast monitors and subtle lights of the navigational equipment. We've been informed by the captain that we are not permitted to use any artificial lights on our camera in the bridge, as it is essential that the bridge remain as dark as possible to avoid any distractions, as strong lights inside the bridge might impair the watchman's navigational visibility. As we approach the port, the pilot arrives and boards the ship to help direct the captain traverse the often tricky, shallow depth and narrow passages. The pilot knows the port by heart, every shallow depth, and the degree of turns that are needed to be taken, as even a small error could have serious consequences. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we are arriving into Corfu, Greece. The captain and the staff captain are on the bridge wing as they dock the ship in port. The bridge wing is the part of the bridge where the captain can navigate the ship with a clear view of the entire ship's side. The bridge wing has the same navigational equipment as inside the bridge. And if you think parallel parking with your car can be difficult, imagine parallel parking a 70,000-ton ship. Well, we just completed the docking procedures here in Corfu, and right now we're standing on the bridge wing on the starboard side. Captain, I see we have a whole instrument panel here, and it looks quite complicated. What do these instruments do?
Well, the purpose of the bridge wing is to allow us to see the ship's side when we get really close to the pier. So these are a duplication of the thrusters, engine controls and rudders to allow us to maneuver the ship when we get really close to the pier. We are in Corfu, we are on the North Pier. The alternative is the South Pier, which Holland America has today. The approach to the North Pier is generally very simple. It's just a matter of getting the ship alongside. If you go to the South Pier, however, it takes a little bit longer and the maneuver is a little bit complicated. Normally we back in there and we have to turn the ship before we actually get alongside. It doesn't take much longer, but it's a little bit more complicated. And today we have a beautiful day once again. That makes the whole thing the more easier. Sure. And you can see that today there are a few ships here. We have Holland America and we have Regent Seas. They were allocated to the anchorage to allow us to come alongside, so we're in a good position.
And of course, I'm sure that the wind conditions and the sea conditions would have an effect when you are docking.
Absolutely, that's the major factor. Whether environmental conditions can make it difficult or easy, depending.
What about the difference between docking here in Corfu and in Split? Is one more difficult than the other?
Well, Split is definitely more challenging due to water depth and short pier and so on. Corfu is an easy port.
Now, Talking about this instrument panel for a moment, you have a few levers. For instance, what is this for?
That's the engine control. To reverse the engine, so go ahead. And these are the thrusters.
Okay. Now the thrusters, those are the propellers on each side of the ship built into the hull.
Exactly.
And they move the ship sideways?
Sideways, yes.
Too bad we couldn't have this system on a car to parallel park.
Yeah, but modern cars have, this automatic parking button.
Yeah, sure.
We could have one of those here.
Now we're inside the bridge in front of the voyage management system.
Well, from here you can actually see the approach, because all these dots represent the history of the ship's position during the approach to once again the North Pier in Corfu. And you can see it's a pretty simple approach. There is nothing in the way for the ship when we make the approach. Should we go to the South Pier, however, you can see that it becomes slightly more complicated, because we have to negotiate the pier before going alongside.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning in Mykonos, Greece. As the Splendor of the Seas arrives, the staff captain orders the bosun to start the mooring operations. Mooring is the process of tying up the ship to the dock, and this is achieved by using mooring lines or hawsers being tied down to the bollard in the port. Mooring is an orchestrated process that involves able deckhands and port personnel. Deckhands from the ship will throw the lines to the pier, which will then be pulled by several men who will hook the heavy ropes to the bollard. Anchoring is not necessary when the ship is docking in the port, as anchoring is done only when the waters in the harbor are too shallow or if there isn't a pier for the Splendor to dock at. Captain Carl is the master of the Splendor of the Seas. Like many of his countrymen who answered the call of the seas, he's from Sweden and has been sailing the seven seas since he was a young man. The bridge operation is composed of several officers. The staff captain, who is the second in command, the chief officer safety, first officers, second officers, quartermaster, and a cadet in training. Each one of them takes their turn with the duties on the bridge, while the captain and the staff captain are always in command of the navigational sensitive operations. We hope you've enjoyed this short feature and that it answered some of your questions regarding the navigational side of cruising. And now we'll leave you with a magnificent view from the bridge.